So let's move fast forward
Yeah.
now in the 80s. Okay, so how did you start thinking of yourself that you want to make your own guitar?
Okay. Uh, well, I was abroad for 14 and a half years,
Yes.
and when I got back here, I discovered that bands were no longer in vogue. It was a piano player in a bar
Hmm.
and disco. The street bands were no longer around. I guess the clubs could not hire them or afford them anymore. So
Yes.
they would go abroad or just play in Subic for the Americans in Olongapo. So I said, what's happening to the scene here? There's no band, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to share my music. So I started Bistro RJ with a 40,000 peso investment. I bought egg crates, and that was my
Yeah.
proofing. And I rented a place. It was called Bistro Malaya in Pasay Road, and called it RJ Bistro, 826 Pasay Road. Okay, it was a restaurant.
Still remember where it's at.
Yeah. So I just bought egg crates. I bought a sign. The sign was 30,000. The egg crates were, I don't know, 5,000 or 2,000.
Yeah.
And then I had my equipment from the States, PV and all that, and in my amps, yeah, and my guitars that I had during my exile. I just put them there, and I just and I, and then I announced over the radio station that, hey, you may not remember me, but I own this station.
Yeah.
It was returned to me. You may not know the name, what the name RJ stands for, but it's Ramon Jacinto, and I'm here. I'm back. Now I want to play this kind of music from the 60s, 70s, whatever, 50s. If you like it, let me know. I have 8 telephones here. Call me.
So you
So
were.
so I DJ'd for 8 hours a day,
That's a long time.
and they started calling. Hello
Yeah.
RJ, oh, RJ, and then we had a sort of homecoming in the roof of the DCRJ studios in the Santa Mesa building, the iconic historical Santa Mesa building where June Kitley went, where our booth was.
Hmm.
Yeah, we had a homecoming party there. Jackie Magno came in, and Ber, was- lots of artists came in to
Yeah.
not to welcome me. So we had a jam session. That's how it happened.
And you got that covered on radio also. I mean,
Yes,
was televised, or I
yeah.
probably caught it
Radio,
live on
radio, no
radio.
TV yet. Yeah.
Right.
So that was it. And in 1988, so let's fast forward from the time I returned 1986 to 1988. Before that, in 1986 or 1987, right after I said, can I have my Gretsch checked and re-chromed or something
Hmm.
like that? And my Jazz Master. Because my aunt was able to keep my Jazz Master, the Gretsch, and there's something else. My Mose right,
During the martial
yeah,
law. She
during the
kept
martial
them.
law. So I had to have my old guitars that my aunt kept for me, my auntie Elsa, serviced.
Yeah.
So I asked, who is the best luthier here who knows about these things? So I don't want it touched unless he knows what he's doing. And they told me Rudy Discipolo was the one who was
Mm.
maintaining the guitars of the professionals at that time. So I visited Rudy in his shop, a small shop near Welcome, Quezon City. The Welcome sign,
Rotonda.
Rotonda,
Yeah.
where USD, and you go up. Then,
Yes.
so his shop was somewhere in a little street there. And as a matter of fact, it was half unpaved.
Back then. Yeah.
Talaga, ano siya. So anyway, so Rudy, sabi ko, can you please clean up my guitars and check them up and check the action of it? And he did a good job. So in 1988, I guess 1987 or 88, I asked him, would you like to take a trip with me? Saan, sir? Sumama ka na sa akin.
Off the bat.
Mag-export tayo. Mag-export tayo ng Philippine-made electric guitars. Kasi, sabi ko, alam mo tayong Pilipino, mas magaling tayo sa music sa kanila eh. Mas nararamdaman natin, ba't hindi tayo maka-export ng guitar? Tsaka yung mga guitars, yung gitara natin dito, ang tataas ng action. Walang technical
Wala pang quality. Iba.
walang technical support, no? So, sumama ka sa akin. So I bought his shop and he said, "Okay, let's do it." Said, "How do you how did you study the pickups?" Sir, binubuksan ko 'yan, mga pickup. Pinag-aaralan ko. Ganun ba? O sige, pakita mo nga sa akin. So he would open up guitars and check the wires.
Yeah.
So he knew tone. That's why his brand was a Road Tone. So sabi ko, gawa mo ako ng gitara. Ang gusto ko parang tunog Jazzmaster na Fender. Tsaka Strat. So he made me the first guitar, the Road Tone guitar from Almasiga wood, blunt. I have it. I still have it. So that's the first guitar he made for me. At saka push button. Push button
talaga?
yung ano, hindi switch, push
Oo.
button. So he made a good guitar. That's how he made it. So then from there we transferred to an apartment building here in Maysilo, Mandaluyong. I rented an apartment building, two stories. We started making guitars there. Two guitars a month, three
Two
guitars a
guitars
month,
per order.
and then four, five.
Yeah.
So it was still really a hobby.
Still growing.
Yeah. So and then at a certain point, I said, "Look, we have good guitars, but it's so hard to make them realize that a local brand guitar is good enough. It's very hard because I guess it's like selling locally made golf clubs. Who would buy a
Yeah,
locally
I mean,
made golf
here in
clubs?
this country.
Or locally made cars at that time?
Yeah.
You know, what I did was we have to go mainstream. So what I did was rented the place in I don't know what year it was. I don't know if 1990 or 1991. Robinson's Galleria,
The first one.
the first one, the big one. So I even have I don't know if we have pictures of that, but I even had my portrait there hanging. You're entering the Garden of Delight for guitars. Yeah.
Like Adam and Eve.
Big store, huh?
Yeah.
Big store. You're welcome here. Compare the sound of the RJ guitars with the branded. So what I did was I bought a lot of branded guitars. I bought a BB King ST35, a Fender Strat, Gibson, whatever. So I bought it. I put it next to the RJ guitar,
Side by side.
side by side. Try it.
Yeah.
You can dream about this, but you should buy this if you can't afford this. That's the whole philosophy of RJ guitars. And my business model was very simple. The local guitars were this. The imported guitars were here. If I could be here and sell it for 30 to 40% less with almost the same quality, then I have a business model.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. And then a partnership with the owner of Schecter, Japan, Joey Yui, happened after a while. In this building behind, I rented the building next to this and we had a guitar manufacturing plant with the Schecter owner. He was the one who improved our knowledge also.
That was in the mid 90s already.
Yeah, mid 90s na yun. When RJ TV started.
Yeah.
It was here, mid 90s na yun. So we were making, and then we proceeded to rent a big gym. It was a school. School with a
School
big gym.
gym.
Yeah, in Mandaluyong. At that time, we also had a partner, a Japanese partner. No, we started a big factory with, with bandsaws and everything, the whole with painting, and we were making 200 to 300 guitars a month.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of guitars to
That's
make.
when we made the
Every
rocker,
month.
all that. It's a big factory, And we had a partner who would make guitar cases. A Japanese partner, make guitar cases inside the factory. So that's how it started. And that's how we started doing. And then we transferred to San Juan, Camara Steel. The Camara Steel premises, which we owned, Camara Steel transferred, so we transferred to Pasig. So I transferred RJ guitars there, San Juan. That's where we kept on making. So that's how it started.
It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting to learn that from the genesis of how it all
Yeah,
started
yeah.
from
And then,
the luthier.
for some reason, there was a big fire that consumed it, so we had to start again. I don't know.
From the ashes, huh?
The electrical, yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Daniel Crisologo, who started D&D, he learned there. His father brought him to me and said,
RJ Factory.
yeah, my guitar, my son loves guitars. Could just sort of mentor him. So I made him work there for a while.
Yeah.
And his first guitar was made there in the San Juan factory before it burned.
Wow. And so we're talking about
Yeah.
the fire that happened from the electrical, that stemmed from that. What were the other challenges that you've encountered with RJ Guitars, the company itself, and still now? And how do you overcome those problems?
Good question. The hardest thing is to maintain the quality if you are producing many guitars. So We exported before, but we stopped it because we could not maintain the quality. I forget the date of the first export, but we exported, okay, until we were able to meet this Japanese, the owner of Bacchus and Devicer, and he asked me to be his partner, or he asked us to be partners in the export zone in Dasmariñas, Cavite. That's where we really learned. That was the factory that made the super vintage guitar that I launched in the NAM show.
Yeah.
And that was really world class, even higher than some American made. And they discovered the mango wood, the good tone, and all that. So that's how it evolved. Before China was a big exporter, we would already go there and search for factories that were good, and we would first it was the Koreans. We had Koreans make our guitars after the fire, and then and then we started going to China also. Korean factories in China
Okay.
also, and also Chinese factories. So that's how we maintain the supply.
From 2 guitars every
Yeah,
month
yeah,
to 300. And
More.
how
We
many
sold more.
guitars are we moving
No.
every month now?
Well, I don't know the exact figure, but we used to buy. I don't know now, but locally, the low-end guitars, or the starter guitars, we designed. We support the. We have workers there in San Antonio,
Yeah,
Guagua.
this is the one that
I designed this because I said, what is the cheapest way to make a guitar? Well, it was.
you wave on the thing.
Then the inspiration was the price. I said, what is the cheapest way? Can't you make a very cheap guitar that's good?